after I started my spiritual awakening, I stopped smoking weed completely because I started feeling so much shit. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It actually scared the fuck out of me. So during my first spiritual awakening, I had my mother sleeping in my room. She got a husband. You got to sleep in my room, in my bed. And I had her in there for like 3 months because I didn't know what was going on. And it just felt comforting. Like 4:44 on the time as I was saying that. Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's me. Anyway, I talked about this in the previous video where I'm like, this is gonna be another video, and I talked about it on TikTok and in shorts and stuff, but I wanted to just briefly go back over it in its own separate video and not in a live stream. Marijuana and spirituality. Now, a lot of spiritualists be saying like, oh, weed is bad for your spiritual journey. And I've met a lot of people that like were really against weed. There was this one woman when I was staying at a shelter. I met her at one of my smoking spots because you can't smoke around the shelter. It was in a garden. She lived in the building by the garden. Anyway, I got to talking to her and found out that she was heavily into astrology. She did charts and all that type of shit. And I still have her business card. I did not contact her for this reason that I'm about to speak of. We got along so well, and I was telling her about all the things that I went through before going to the shelter and the shit that I was going through at the shelter. And she said to me, no, she said she was basically about to give me a hug. And before she gave me a hug, she's like, wait, what are you smoking? I'm like, weed. And she's like, oh, never mind. And she was like, because weed leaves you susceptible to this, that, and the other. And I got slightly offended, but I let it go because I'm like, people have their own way of viewing things. And I just moved on with the situation. Like, I definitely looked at her as an earth angel because one morning, like, I was working really weird hours. You're in a shelter, you get a job, you're gonna work the job, whatever it is, like shit like that go, man. So I was working at the airport and I started work at 4 a.m. So it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm leaving out of the shelter, but I wanted to smoke and have my coffee before getting on the train. So I went to a smoking spot, which is like right across the street from the shelter, but it's down an alley. I was in a decent neighborhood, actually a really good neighborhood, so I didn't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. But this particular morning, something felt weird. And I'm like, maybe I should get up and leave. And then I'm like, I don't know, like maybe is that just energy that, I don't know. And then I'm like, okay, now I felt the energy again like 5 minutes later. Maybe I should just get up and leave. And I thought about it like, I don't really know. And then maybe another 5 minutes, the energy got stronger. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get up and leave because that's the third time I done felt the shit. So as I'm gathering my shit and getting ready to leave, somebody in all black in the mask on runs through the lot right in front of me and takes a shortcut and dips off somewhere around the corner. And as dude was running, he was running towards me at first. It looked like he had committed a crime and was trying to get away from somebody. And as he was running towards my direction, this same woman, I had met her before, the woman at the in the garden, she popped out of her window just random, like, hey. And then we got to talking and whatnot. And when I seen her again, I told her about the situation. So this was definitely somebody I was supposed to meet, but I didn't like how she viewed the situation with the weed. But like I said, everybody have their own opinions and their perspectives of things. But now I'm going to speak on my experience with marijuana. I started smoking weed at like 16, 17, right before I graduated high school. And it really helped me on my spiritual journey, considering the fact that I grew up dealing with certain quote unquote mental issues, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, clinical depression, all that type of shit. The regular medications didn't work for me because they just, like didn't make you feel shit. And my thing was, I dealt with these, like I said, quote unquote mental issues because I wasn't truly being myself. I wasn't allowing myself to be who I was. And that in itself was like causing issues. And that we're going to get into that later too. But we definitely helped. When I first started my spiritual awakening, though, I had to stop smoking weed. Like, I don't know, for weed smokers, is back in the day, I don't know what the fuck they be doing now, but you had your regular weed and then OG, but then you had Reggie, which wasn't that strong. And I would never smoke Reggie. I was just smoking the regular weed type of shit. But after I started my spiritual awakening, I stopped smoking weed completely because I started feeling so much shit. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It actually scared the fuck out of me. So during my first spiritual awakening, I had my mother sleeping in my room. She got a husband. You got to sleep in my room, in my bed. And I had her in there for like 3 months because I didn't know what was going on. And it just felt comforting. Like 4:44 on the time as I was saying that. It just felt comforting having her around type of shit. But after time, I started smoking Reggie, and then I eventually got back into smoking regular weed. And over time, I learned it was because weed was putting me into a meditative state faster than I would if I was just sitting meditating. It's more intense. And I feel like that's the reason why weed was looked down upon for so long by so many people. Because normally when shit helps you awaken or helps you on your spiritual journey, motherfuckers figure out a way to try to make it seem bad, to keep you away from it so that you don't find ways to awaken. So that's why it's important to listen to your intuition, follow your intuition, all that good stuff. But speaking on the leaving you susceptible to certain shit is the reason why it's called getting high, right? It puts you in a meditative state, and if you aren't like aware of certain shit, you can be susceptible to certain shit. But once you get to a level of awareness, like like if you smoking, you know that it's gonna put you into a meditative state. You know that it's gonna have you in that tapped in type of energy. I just heard something about output. Interesting. I'll look into that. Probably got something to do with me, but we're gonna see. But yeah, if you realize and understand that, like, you're smoking, even if you're smoking it recreationally, know that you're smoking it recreationally, and know that it has certain effects when it comes to spirituality. With that being said, it literally just throws you into a meditative state. And if you know, like, if you sit down to meditate, it's the same thing. You have the intentions of quieting the mind, of being one with self. Like, when you have those intentions set in place as you're smoking, it does the same thing that meditation does. But if you are unawakened, or you aren't just, or you clearly, I'm just trying to say it the right way. If you're unawakened and you are smoking just to be smoking because it feels good and not knowing why it feels good and shit like that, that could leave you susceptible with certain shit because it's your relationship with marijuana and how you're handling it. Yes, you will come online type of shit. You will be able to pick up on different energies that you weren't able to pick up on before, but it's just being aware of certain energies. Like, for example, if you're unawakened, you smoke, and then you feel a certain type of energy. And with what I'm learning now, like really deepening my discernment, people who haven't even started developing discernment, when they get into that meditative state, they can start feeling different energies and hearing different stuff. And it's literally just person coming online type of shit. But without that basic knowledge of what's going on, they could potentially think something else is going on. It leaves room for misinterpretation. That's all it does. So there's nothing wrong with smoking weed on your journey. It's just the intentions behind it, it's the actions behind it, and it's the thought process behind it. Just like I said, energy is everything. Everything is energy. We talked about default settings and certain things having default settings, default labels on them, certain words and shit. So it just comes to you having that awareness to know the default settings of certain shit or of weed, knowing that it's used in meditation practices, knowing that it could get you to a higher state of consciousness, knowing just knowing certain shit about it, doing research and learning what you can learn, just not don't just take one opinion and run with it. Like a lot of this shit with spirituality, you research and you learn different shit, then you meditate and you come to a conclusion of what's really going on in your own reality, in your own world type of shit. But from my point of view, there's nothing wrong with smoking weed on your spiritual journey. It actually helps a lot. Is there anything else I want to talk about in regards to this though? Don't make it a habit. Don't become too dependent on weed to get you into a meditative state. Excuse me. Like if you are at the beginning of your awakening or a certain awakening, if you want to use weed as a tool to help you get to that state faster so that you can do more spiritual work, you can do that. But like I said, do not make it a habit, because you don't need to rely on weed to get into a meditative state. You can do it yourself. And over time, I've learned that as well. Like at first, I thought meditating was just sitting with your legs crossed and that's a certain type of meditation. Anything that helps you feel like yourself, where you're doing it and it's quiet in your mind, that's meditation. I play video games, that's meditating. I like cooking, that's meditating. I don't really like cleaning, but cleaning, like when I turn on my music and I get all the shit out, that's meditation. Like all of that is meditation. So it's important not to attach weed to a meditative state. Know that it can get you there, but it's just a tool, just like everything else. Like I say, humans make shit weird. Realize that the power is within you, but there are tools around to help you get to certain places and certain points. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave the video right there. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, and all that other good shit. And I hope that I was able to help in any sort of way. Anyway, that's the video. Bye.